So my name is Justin. I'm the editor of Rapzilla.com, and every week I get together with three different artists, creatives, and just talk about positive solutions and impacts that we can have in our communities and throughout, and just moving forward, positive solutions and talks and communication that we can have. So this is Community During Chaos, episode 14. And this week we have YP, aka Young Paul, we got CJ King, and we have Emcee Nice. Man, what has 2020 been like so far for you, between COVID and civil unrest and all this craziness that's going on?
Yeah, man. 2020 has been so crazy, Jay. It's been nuts, man. It feels like one thing after another, man. You know, uh,
Relentless.
but a lot of different conversations at the
Yeah.
barbecues, on the block,
Hmm.
at the studio. The conversations are a little different now, man. More, the conversations are more surrounded around, police brutality, racism.
Right.
We talking about it all, man. You know what I'm saying? COVID-19, all of it, man.
Has Corona affected you in any way? Like, especially as an artist, I know you're probably not doing any shows. You're not,
Yeah, yeah.
you're not out there as much.
Yo, listen, man. By God's grace, I haven't got affected by the virus per se.
Right.
But as far as working, yeah, shows have slowed down a lot, but still working, man. Still hitting the studio, staying safe, staying, sanitized.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But still moving forward, man. Still moving forward with the vision.
No, that's dope.
Yeah, man.
And were you able to get out there and participate in anything, whether it be protests, community dialogues? What were you
Yeah.
able to do, or have you been able to do?
Well, like I said, man, as far as like dialogue is concerned and talking about these sensitive topics, these real issues, they've been getting brought up in every single gathering I've been involved in, whether it's the studio, whether I'm on the block chilling with the homies, whether it's at a family gathering,
Yeah.
wherever I'm at, man, these conversations are being brought up, and we just not shying away from it. We're talking about it, man. As far as police brutality is concerned, it's crazy because I posted a video when the whole thing happened with George Floyd, man, R.I.P. George
Yeah.
Floyd. When that whole thing happened, a lot of things just started, coming to mind, man. Like when I was 17, 18 years old, myself, I've experienced police brutality. I'm not a
Yeah.
black man, but I'm Puerto Rican. You know what I'm saying? And I got beat up by police several times. And all of this is happening, it stirs up the conversation. Because when
Yeah.
we were young, a bunch of black and Spanish kids chilling with each other, running around.
Hmm. Hmm.
It was kind of normalized as far as like us fighting with police officers and all of that. You know what I'm saying? It was
Yeah.
like it was normal. It never came to mind like, yo, they can't be doing that to us. You know what I mean? It's like they can't be choking us, slamming us on the floor, punching us in our face, leaving our face all bruised up and all of that stuff. So um those conversations have been brought up more often. As far as being in the trenches, Jay, I've always been in the trenches, baby. You know what I'm saying? I've always been in the trenches, so this is nothing new. I've always been out there,
Yep.
getting busy. But yeah, man. As far as police brutality is concerned, this whole time, yo, like I've always felt like police officers gave us a break. They let us go home. They'll keep us in the precinct, handcuffed like we
Yeah.
dogs, right? All beat up. They'll send us home back to our families, and the whole time we thinking like, yo, they gave us a break. You know what I'm saying? Like they didn't take us in. You know what I mean? We could have went and did some time because we
Yeah.
got into a fight with a police officer and all that. But when you really look at it, it all hit me like a ton of bricks, Jay. Me and my friends were talking about. It's like, yo, all these encounters that we've had with police officers, as far as physical violence is concerned, and I don't hate. And this is not all police officers. This is just some. I
Hmm.
don't hate all police officers. There's some really solid, good police officers that handle their job with honor and all of that good stuff with integrity. Just some. But I, recently, me and my boys was talking. We was like, yo, ain't it crazy how we done got beat up by police, and we always thought that they gave us a break by sending us home, but really they was protecting their job. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, I remember going home all bruised up, having to lie to my parents, my mother and my father, letting them know, like, yeah, I was just getting into some stuff in the streets, not even letting them know it was a police officer that did this to me. And it was like, yo, you know, it was normalized for us, but that's sad that it was normalized. It shouldn't be that way. And I'm glad that it's becoming an issue today. That it's the noise is loud. It's starting to become an issue. Police officers got to think twice now before harming somebody. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what it's been. We just been talking about it,
Hmm.
dissecting it, going back into the archives of when we was younger, and like, wow, yo, when we look back, it's like, yo, this is crazy. You know what I mean? Like, we've been dealing with this for years.
Now I'm going to ask you this. This might sound weird, so
Yeah.
I don't mean anything by it, but
Nah, go ahead.
did you ever feel like with the police like that you deserved it? Like were you ever doing things that were wrong and you were like, yeah, I probably should have been knocked around? Or do you feel
Yo,
like any time that ever happened, it was just way over the line?
no,
Because
that
you
was
said
that.
you were fighting with
Yeah,
officers.
that's a great question, Jay. Because I don't advocate for us rebelling against police officers. We
Hmm.
definitely got to follow the rules, man. When they tell us put your hands against the wall, we should put our hands against the wall. When they tell us to stop walking, we should stop walking. When they ask us for our information, we should give it up. However, specifically, I'll talk about one situation. If you don't mind, can I can
Yeah.
I can I go into
Yeah, you
detail?
good.
Okay, all
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
So there was this one time I was about 17 years old. We're chilling on my block, and two of our homeboys got stabbed up really bad. And you know the code of the streets, you can't snitch and all of this stuff. So I already knew my boys wasn't telling. So these two dudes that they had in holding or whatever, they were gonna let them go home. So we knew
Yeah.
what police precinct they was at. So we was camping around that area. The police officers asked us to move. Again, I'm not advocating for us disobeying the law. We should have moved when they told us to. Although we did move, we came back around to that spot. A police officer hopped out the car. He didn't even ask questions no more, Jay. What he should have done was, if we were being disobedient to the law, take us in if you want. But what he did was he instantaneously grabbed me by my neck, literally choked me
Yeah.
back like this, just choked me, and instantaneously, I ripped him, bam, it's just natural instincts, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And I was saying in a matter of seconds, man. Detectives were on the scene. I got snuck by a grown man. I'm 17. My jaw just bam, leaning. I fell on the floor and they just going in on me, jumping me, beating me up. So again, I don't advocate rebelling against the law. However, in that situation, I'm 34 now, so I'm looking back like, yo, you guys beat up a 17-year-old boy, grown men. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He could have just been like, okay, you guys don't want to obey what I'm saying to you. Okay, you know what? Either I'm gonna write you a ticket or we're gonna take you in. Now, if I'm resisting arrest and I'm acting violent, then I get why you gotta incorporate physical force. But literally, he asked us to move. We're 17-year-old kids. We still knuckleheads. This is the life that we live in. We're gonna disobey a little bit. I'm not
Yeah.
asking for
Yeah.
that. But instead of him choking me, he could have spoke to me. I said, okay, you know what? I'm gonna take your information down. You coming in with me. There have been officers that do that. You get what I'm saying? There's some really solid, great
Yeah.
police officers that I've dealt with that are like, look, I need you to work with me here. I'm just doing my job. Just if you comply with me, I'll be cool with you guys.
Hmm.
You respect me, I'll
Yeah.
respect you. But then there's some other police officers that abuse their authority, and that police officer I'm talking about, Jay, had when he took me to the precinct, about 5 or 6 of my other homeboys was in there, handcuffed to the bench like we animals. And he had one dude, I'm not lying to you, Jay, God is my witness, one kid under the police bench with food all around him like he's an animal. And they're kicking it to him, just laughing at us like, yo,
Hey.
you don't realize, at the time, we just like, yo, we just getting in trouble. Here's another day of us acting up, and these are the consequences of our actions. But as you get older, and then these conversations are being brought up, you start really understanding what police brutality really means. You look back and you're like, oh, wow, I was a victim of that. Like, this is what they did to us. You know what I mean?
Yeah, a lot of things that I've heard, especially when it comes to the streets and whatnot,
Yeah.
like respect is kind of like respect is earned.
Yeah.
And I know there's somewhat of a code that if like someone is helping you or does something, you know, you kind of have to like, all right, we'll pay it back. So like,
Yeah.
had you being a 17-year-old, a 16-year-old, however
Yeah.
old, a young person, you
Yeah.
have that person who came in and was just like, yo, man, listen, you know, I know you guys are fooling around. I know you guys are doing this, but like that was an opportunity for a police officer to kind of set the stage for the rest of your life and what
Right.
those interactions could have been.
Exactly.
But because that was a bad interaction, it was always like, yo, screw the police. I'm not listening to police because they beat you up that time or whatever.
Yeah.
And it just kind of triggers some, why should I respect them if they didn't
Right.
respect me?
So Jay, so now seeing all of this transpire, you know, with our black brothers and sisters across America, across the
Mhm.
country, and this is going down. I already know how
Yeah.
police officers, how they give it up. Some of them, they got you know, this power thing going, man, where they got this badge on their chest and they feel like they could talk to you like you're not a human being. You know what I mean? They feel like they could just yell at you. Now, again, I want to repeat, man, there's some really solid police officers
Yeah,
out
of
there, man.
course.
Shout out to my man Bookham, real solid officer out in Jersey City. He was on Channel 11 News.
His name is Bookham.
Bookham.
That's his actual name. That's pretty funny.
That's his nickname, Bookham. His
Oh,
name is
okay, okay,
Dano. His real name is Dano, man. I just want to
okay.
shout him out. Solid dude. He's always in the community, Jay. He's always playing basketball with the young kids. He's always
Yeah.
schooling them. You know, he's not on the what's the word I'm looking for? Power trip.
Power trip.
Yeah,
That's how you
power
gain
trip.
the respect, yo. If you're playing with the kids, you're in the community,
Yeah.
like those kids may grow up to be the people that one day you have to arrest, unfortunately. But if you're there, like, hey, look, we're people, we're doing life together, we're doing this. Those kids might be like, hey, remember that police officer? Like that was a cool guy. Like maybe
Yep.
I want to be a cop, or maybe
Yep.
like I don't want to get in trouble.
Right. Right.
I mean, I know it's tough. Obviously, I know it's tough to just deal with people who are disrespecting you all day. But like, that's the job. Like, that was the job you chose.
Yep.
And we all have to deal with stuff at our job. Like, none of it's really a surprise to us. Like, if you work at a restaurant and someone hates your food and sends your food back, you can't be like, are you serious? Like, really? Yeah, like one day, you know, your chicken's not going to be 10 out of 10. It might be a 4. And someone's not going to like it. Someone's going to complain about it.
Right.
But like, you can't be surprised at these things. Like, this is what you signed up for.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's funny. That was one of my questions for you, was about that Instagram story, and you went right into it.
I went right into it.
That was good. Yeah, somebody said I had a lot of run-ins with the cops and not every encounter was bad. Yeah, that's what YP was saying too.
Yeah.
And that's what we're kind of stressing too. Like every bad encounter, there was an opportunity to maybe have some sort of positive impact. I know sometimes it's seemingly impossible, but like at the end of the day, you kind of have to remember that you're dealing with a human life. And whether someone's guilty, whether someone's doing really bad things, you're not the judge, you know, the judge, the executioner. You're supposed to get them to that point. And then we're like, all right, this is a bad guy. You know, this is whoever, you know, this is their punishment.
Yeah.
But like, they're not supposed to be punished before they get there. That's not how it works.
That's right.
So, man, you skipped ahead to my question.
My bad, man.
No, you're good. You're good. But we elaborated on that though. So for you, like as an older person, and you have kids too.
I have 2 boys.
So what kind of conversations have you had with them during this time, and what's that been like?
Yeah, man. So I've always had these segments with my boys where we have Bible studies together. We sit down, we just chop it up. My boys are still babies, man. One is 6, the other one is 10. But I still have these important conversations with them because, listen, they're on TikTok, they're on the internet, they're on their phones. And
yeah, they see stuff.
As much as I try to filter everything, they're going to come across some things. And I want to make sure that I, you know, kind of get ahead of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we've spoke about all these things. I've never really spoke to them about my experience per se. I will talk to them about that, but you know, the whole George Floyd situation, Breonna Taylor, and all of these other you know, unfortunate situations that we've all been
Yeah.
experiencing and witnessing, I've been able to talk to them, man, and just really stress to them how, you know, we don't judge people off the color of their skin. We judge people more off their characteristics, and you know, I teach them how to, you know, extend grace, extend love, extend mercy, extend forgiveness, treat people equally, not based
Yeah.
on what the material things they have, how rich they are, the color of their skin, the how big their house is, how fly their car is. You know, we definitely have these conversations, man. And they ask
Yeah.
me
It's
questions,
good.
you know, Daddy, what's Black Lives Matter? What's that all about? And you know, we getting into pure flicks, watching some God flicks, man, that talk about these
Yeah.
things. You know, stuff like that, man. So yeah, the conversations have definitely been brought up, man. So my little guys, for the most part, for being 10 to 6, I feel like they're up to speed, man.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like with kids, like
It's
I have
hard.
a 1 year old and I have a 3.5 year old. So obviously I'm not having conversations with them on much on like important things.
Yeah.
But my daughter, like, 3.5 years old, some of the questions that she asked me, and I'm like, what the heck?
Right.
Like the other day, she says to me, Dad, I'm really concerned. And I was like, do you know what concerned means? And she's like, no. So I was like, so what are you talking about? What are you concerned about? Do you know? And she's like, well, I've been thinking and I'm really concerned. And I'm just like, all right, well, I don't know what you're concerned about because you don't know what it
You know
means.
what it means, but let's
Um,
go.
but like, but these kids, they see things and they hear things. Like she heard that word. She probably heard somebody say, I'm
I'm
concerned. And
concerned.
she's like, oh, I'm going to repeat it to daddy.
Yeah.
And now, your kids are older and you said they're on TikTok. And,
Yeah.
they're on Instagram. They're on
Yeah.
all these things on
YouTube,
YouTube
all of that stuff. Yeah.
and they're seeing it. So it's
Yep.
like we have to get ahead of it. Like I have to get ahead of conversations to have with the 3.5 year old, which is
Right.
basically having a conversation with the baby.
Yeah.
But I have to have these conversations with her. It's a
It's
wild
like,
time
yo,
living.
what do I say here? Like, how much can you comprehend?
Yeah, well, this whole COVID thing, like having to explain to my daughter, like, oh, we can't go to the park anymore. We
Right.
can't
That too.
we can't go to the store.
Yeah.
Why? People are sick. A lot of people are getting sick and we don't want you to get sick. And now we have to wear a mask and she wears her little mask when we go to like ShopRite or whatever we're going. Now that we go out more, it's like, oh, we couldn't see grandma for like
Yeah.
4 months,
Yeah.
5 months, whatever it was. And it's just like, and she got it and she's really good. And we'll be walking outside. She pulls her mask up when she sees people and she's like, Daddy, we can't go to the park. People are sick. So like it's amazing what the kids pick up. And I think it's important, especially like as fathers,
Yeah.
to like kind of lead your kids and guide their kids and
Absolutely.
mothers too, obviously.
Yeah. Shout out to the moms, man.
Shout out to the moms.
Word up.
So my last question for you before we jump on with CJ King
Okay.
is how do you stay faithful and hopeful when everything ahead of you looks so bleak?
Yeah. Jay, before all of this been going on, we already kind of knew that we lived in a messed up world,
Right.
right?
Right.
So kind of just persevering through it all, taking it step by step, you know what I mean? Taking it day by day. Um, and just, having hope in the Lord. As cliche as that may sound,
Yeah.
really just coming before the Lord and say, look, God, I don't know exactly what's going to happen today, but I'm leaning on you to guide
Mhm.
me, lead me. At any moment it could be over. But I pray that while I'm here today, I could be a light in the midst of darkness, because that's what this world is, man. So full of darkness, whether it's racism, police brutality, COVID-19. At the root of all of this, man, is spiritual wickedness, and that's a real battle at hand. And
Right.
so the mission don't change, the gospel's still the same, and that's what we preaching, man.
Dope. Nice. That's a good final word. So
Yes,
real
sir.
quick, where could everybody check you out, follow you, listen to your music, all that?
Yes, sir. At YP Music Live, MUSICLIVE, same for Twitter. Spotify, YP, aka Young Paul. We got to keep the name together. That's what makes it unique.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, all streaming platforms, YP, aka Young Paul. I got a new single out featuring the legend R. Swift with my homie Dayton, my man Merk Montez, even though he changed his name, Jonathan Josiah. We got a lot more music coming, man. We just gonna keep speaking life, man.
And here we go. with CJ King.
Yeah, bro. Yeah, man. Like I said, I appreciate what you guys are doing. This is vital. And the conversation is vital, so it's needed. So I'm just honored to be a part of it.
No, thank you, man.
Yeah.
And so my first question is the same for everybody. Your 2020, I'm sure it's been just as crazy as everyone else's, unless you have some magic going on. So how have you been able to get through it and try to and just process everything and just like live?
Yeah, man. So one thing that I learned a long time ago is how to pivot. You know, so if you were already dealing with hardships before 2020, this pivot wasn't anything new. So
Yeah.
when 2020 came, I was already well accustomed to pivoting and switching to make adjustments however needed to cope with what's going on. So I think what a lot of people are learning now is how to pivot and sustain and not only sustain but
Uh-huh.
trying to thrive in this like 2020 era.
Mm-hmm.
And so
Mm-hmm.
yeah, like I tell a lot of people, like unfortunately a lot of people faced financial hardships and they were broke for the first time in 2020. And I tell a
Yeah.
lot of people, like, look, I was broke way before 2020, so like 2020 was nothing new when it came. So like,
You were
you know,
prepared for
God,
this.
yeah, God been prepared. Like God been good though. I know He's raising up people in this time, and I'm just honored. I mean, I'm just grateful. Really, I'm grateful to be
Mm-hmm.
able to help out in any way I can to my community.
Dope, man. And it's funny because I was I go through everybody's Instagram page before we do this just so I can kind of come up with my talking points and see what everyone's been up to. And like, didn't the days and everything seem so much sunnier and better back in March when you were doing your Corona funny videos? And then it was just like,
Man,
that was like real fresh. And then you like did
yeah.
those funny videos. And then as like the time went by, it was probably just like, yeah, I don't know anymore.
Right, yeah, man. We were doing skits and everything, like that had started getting popping, and it was crazy for a little while. We had started doing skits and kind of just trying to bring a smile to people's faces during the Corona time. And it was like,
Yeah.
oh shoot, this mug got real. So yeah, once again, it was a pivot, right? It was a pivot.
Yeah.
So you learn how to adjust. Um, and like I used to listen to a lot of Nipsey Hussle interviews, and he would always say things like, you know, bend but don't break, right? Right. Let
Mm-hmm.
2020 is gonna bend you over backwards as much as it can, but like don't break. Like always come back up. So yeah.
Yeah. One of the cool things I saw you post was that you actually went to a protest with your daughter.
Mm-hmm.
That was a
Yeah.
protest? So what was that whole experience like? And again, like, you know, your daughter's young. So what kind of conversations did you have around that?
Yeah. So I went with my daughter intentionally because I wanted her to see what the reality is for, you know, her complexion. Like with
Yeah.
your brown skin, this is your reality, right? And some people try to shield their children from that, and all respect to them, but I feel like you have to know and be able to understand how the world is around you and how the world looks at you. And so if you understand how the world looks at you, um, you kind of know how to handle. You're not shocked when reality hits you, right? And
Yeah.
so I try to let her know how the world looks at her, but I also instill in her like how God sees her and how I look at her. Like I have a song that I released earlier this year called Pretty Brown Skin. Like your skin is beautiful, like your skin
Mm-hmm.
is glowing, is like your melanin is popping, like letting her know these things. So like no
Yeah.
matter what the world is saying and what the reality is, like she's good. Like she's confident, she knows about herself.
Yeah. I feel like during this time, like there have been so many like great, positive and uplifting songs. Like, of course, there's all those songs that come out that are talking about the police brutality or, you know, the
Yeah.
reality of racism, things like that. But for every couple one of those songs, there's a song like what you just said that
Mm-hmm.
kind of reinforces like the beauty, the, you know, the uniqueness of
Mm-hmm.
color, of
Yeah.
race, of what you're doing, rather than kind of focusing necessarily on the negative. Again, it's putting that spin that's like, hey, sometimes you need to be encouraged too.
Mm-hmm.
Like you could be angry. We can talk about things. We
Yeah.
could talk about the realities to try to convince people. but you also need that like injection of encouragement too.
Yeah, yeah,
So
you
I
need
think that's awesome.
that. You need that. So that's all I'm trying to do, man. Really just God has blessed my business tremendously. And so while he's been blessing my business, I'm trying to bless those around me, like putting my
Yeah.
boys on for what they need, looking out for some of the young men in my community, like helping them out. So that's really the goal. That's the purpose. Like we won't get anywhere until we start looking left and right and helping those people next to us.
Yeah. And you launched your t-shirt, your apparel brand during COVID, or did
No,
it come out
actually,
before that?
yeah, actually, I had it going for a long time. Uh, like at shows and everything, I would sell my merch. I had it online for maybe a year before. Well, it's been online now for like 2 years. It just wasn't until earlier this year that it really launched. You know, with the close of physical retail stores,
Yeah.
e-commerce it's kind of shot through the roof. So that was huge. That was a huge blessing for me and the fam. 'Cause I had just lost my job. Um, I was broker than a joke. So like I wasn't even making jokes funny. Like I was dead broke. So it came at the perfect time, man. And so that's what I've been doing, man. Just pushing that, and then of course, getting involved in the community, um, getting involved, trying to get people to vote, and just staying active out here.
Yeah, that's funny because that's like the irony of the way that God works in there.
Hmm.
Like you have an apparel brand, the clothing brand that you've had for like 2 years,
Right.
but everything's okay. And then it's like normally in a circumstance where people are like, I have absolutely nothing. It's like, all right, boom, here's your clothing brand taking off.
Yeah.
And it's like, I had nothing
Right.
else. Like I'm trying to be a musician, I'm trying to do all this stuff. I work this other
Yeah.
job and it just pulled up like that, which is amazing. Cause
Yeah,
I
man.
didn't even know about it. And, I know you fairly well. And I didn't even
Yeah.
know you had a clothing brand until a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah,
And
you
I
know
asked
me.
you
I'm
about it.
super low key. I'm super low key. Like
Yeah.
I'm hardly on the scene, and then I'll pop up randomly with a placement or a song. Like I try to stay low key about everything. What they say, move in silence. Like I
Yeah.
hold I hold to that, like to the core. Like I like to make those moves in silence and like let those moves speak for themselves. I believe results speak louder than anything.
Yeah, you got those placements listed on your Instagram, and it's like these
Mhm.
huge placements, and then it's like, and then Rapzilla at the end. And I was like, hey, he holds us up there. I was like, all right, I was a
Yo.
part of that.
Man, yeah, you guys have always shown love. It's been crazy. So, and even those were just the tip of the iceberg with the
Yeah,
placements. And so that's really been that's been a huge sustaining grace. Like the placements have been just huge. So like even with that, like I try to put people on game in my community. Like, hey, this is a lane you can go with your music. Like especially if you're not doing
right,
shows,
right.
getting these placements. That's how you can do it. And yeah, man, like everyone who knows me knows, like I give them my number. You can hit me at any time. I'll drop game on you, whatever you need. Like I'm I'm just an open book, bro. Like anything anybody needs, that's what I'm here for. Yeah, I miss all of that stuff, just to get
Hmm.
together, the fellowshipping. But um, well, I've been glad to see a lot of like my brothers in this community. Shout out to 2.0. I've been glad to see a lot of my brothers in the community like actively being like the hands and feet out here. You know what
Yeah,
I'm saying? Like actually like being involved in these protests. But the thing I want to challenge people to is like now that the protests are kind of over, like it was trending for a little bit. You know what I'm saying? It was
yeah.
cool to go to a protest or say, yeah, I was at a protest, get a cool picture. Now that that's over, I always challenge people to like, all right, so what next? Like, what are you
Now what?
doing now? How are
Yeah.
you going to continue to stay involved and stay active? Like, use your voice,
Hmm.
and yeah, just be about the change. Like, don't just let it be a temporary thing just because it looked and sounded good for the moment.
A follow up on going out there with your daughter. Like, how did she feel out there, and like environment wise, like how was it to have to be out there with your daughter?
Mm, so she's almost 3 years old, so she doesn't get the magnitude of it yet.
Right.
She will, but my hope is that she's gonna look back and realize she was a part of this, and she's gonna see
Hmm.
the difference from what her dad was doing then to what's happening now. Like
Yeah.
right now, like I spend a lot of time away from home, just out in the community, and it's
Hmm.
unfortunate because I want to be home with my family, but like there's a lot of work to be done, right?
Yeah.
So, for instance, I just got back from Trenton, New Jersey. A friend of mine and I, we hosted a Get Out the Vote rally in Trenton, New Jersey over the weekend. And we weren't telling people who to vote for. We just wanted them to make an educated decision and like
Hmm.
get out here and be active. Like the change you want to see can happen, but we have to start with our
Absolutely.
voices, start with our action. Like don't just talk it, but what are you gonna do after the conversation? Like Lecrae's old album, after the music stops, like
Right.
what are you gonna do? So it's like get out here, get active. We're doing one in Atlanta too, where we want people to get active. And I'm really pushing and a huge advocate for getting people to support their community, not only with words and hashtags,
Hmm.
but with your dollar, right? Support your community, and not just Black people supporting Black people, but other people supporting, the Black community. Um,
Yeah.
in one sense, well, all right. So I'll say this: uh, I try to hold my people accountable too. So, for instance, in the Black community, the dollar circulates for 6 hours, right?
Hmm.
In the white community, it circulates for 17 days. In the Asian community, it circulates for 30 days,
Yeah.
right? That's a huge difference, like six
Hmm.
hours. So I think when you realize like the power of the dollar, right, and how impactful that can be, because that gives you a voice. Like we need to. I'm not saying don't buy from Gucci, but if you're gonna buy from Gucci, also buy from another,
Yeah.
a local
Yeah.
vendor. Like buy into your community or even an underserved community. So that's my thing, bro. Like it's a loaded point, but I'm just saying like follow up with action and put put action behind your words.
Yeah. You're investing in your own community. That's what like Derek Miner's whole thing that he's been pushing. I think Corey Paul also talks a lot about that. Um, and I know Derek especially was big on that with his We Own Now. He launched his T-shirts and sort of his financial literacy program. It's like,
Yeah, yeah,
yo,
yeah.
like support your own local businesses and support people
Mm-hmm.
and keep that money within your community because you're only, the name of the game, unfortunately, is accumulating wealth, not
Yeah,
stuff. You
exactly.
can't be wealthy with stuff, but you could be wealthy by owning things.
Yeah, yeah.
So you just have to maintain that ownership. And now you are a Black business owner.
Mm-hmm.
You have your own clothing line. So that's
Yeah,
you accumulating wealth because it's
exactly,
yours.
exactly.
And I think a lot of people fail to see that, and that's super important.
See, that it's
Yeah,
not only owning something, but it's also being willing to share that information with somebody else, bring the next
yeah,
gen.
yeah,
You have that crabs in the bucket mentality.
yeah. So when you told me the other day you were out doing activism, that's what you were doing in Trenton for
Mm-hmm.
the voting thing.
Yeah, that's got there,
Yeah,
just talking to people, letting them know why they should vote, why our voice matters, why it counts, and that was it was huge. It was impactful, and that's what I'm trying to do here. I'm actually doing an event on the 29th in Atlanta. I'm doing the same
yeah.
thing at West End Mall.
Okay, dope. I like that you also that you made it a point to say, we're not telling you who to vote for because I think a lot of people have that mentality where they say, all right, well, get out and vote. You got to do vote. But of
Mm.
course, in their minds, what they're saying is, don't vote for that person.
Uh-huh.
We want you to all get out and vote for this person because God forbid someone's like, yeah, I went out and voted, but I
Mm-hmm.
didn't vote for the person you wanted. Then all hell breaks loose.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, so people have to have a choice. But,
Mm-hmm.
but again, like you said, they need an educated
Mm-hmm.
decision behind it, not
Yeah.
just an instinctual.
That's what makes it a democracy, like having your own decision. Like that's where this society is kind of messed up. Like if you have your own opinion and you disagree with someone, you're viewed as like an idiot or wrong. My thing is like use your voice, do your research, and I believe upon doing your research you will see what's the best move for you. I believe like
Right.
uh that's going to tell everything you need to know about what move you should make, who you should vote for, because I don't have to tell you, you're an adult. Like you're old enough to vote. I don't have to tell you what to do. You can do your
Yeah.
research and find out. Like we're such a spoon-fed society.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
People are dependent on others to tell them what to do,
Yeah.
or watching the actions of, just saying, I got to vote for my party, or I got to vote because this is how my church is voting, or this is how my family votes. You don't have to do any of that. You can vote for exactly who you want to. That's the whole point of the thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Um, but that's, like you said, that's kind of how we do things.
Yeah.
Um, so for you, like, what are your hopes and dreams for the future? Kind of, as crazy as it sounds, we're kind of nearing 2021
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
almost done. It's like, can this get any worse? I hope
Yeah.
2021 is really good.
Man, it's so much. I have so many goals. Like I have the next 5 years. There are things that I want to see done, but
No.
uh, man, I don't even know where to start. But I've been so focused on like being active in my community that's kind of been in the forefront of my brain. And
Yeah.
I have goals there. Like I mean, it's 3 ways I want to see my community doing better. Like I want to see it it's in a better economic place, aka
Hmm.
a financial place.
Right.
I want to see changes to criminal justice reform, and lastly, I want to see
Yeah.
students in Bankhead get the same level of education as students in Buckhead, which is like the lower income area and a higher income area out here in
Right.
Georgia. So it's like those are immediate changes I want to see for my community. For me and my business, I want to be at a place where we can go ahead and bring on, at least 10 more people uh, to provide them with financial income, and supply for their needs. And then, man, it's so much. And even music wise, like, I mean, literally, bro, I got like a whole game plan like it's crazy. Like it's mapped out and it's a lot in the works.
Man, you seem really organized. Like, do you got all this stuff like written down and like layered out, and
Bro, I wasn't I
or is it
wasn't
all up
before
here?
2020. I wasn't before 2020. Then when I realized, man, in order to really like see change, like if you keep doing the same stuff you've been doing, you're not gonna get anywhere. And I had a lot of broke habits. I had a poor mentality. Um, I was at times I could have been investing in my craft. I was sitting there watching Empire. Times I could have been on YouTube looking at all this free information. I was just chilling, playing the PS4. You know what I'm saying? Like, had a broke mentality. And so I had to make that switch when I was like, bro, my bank account been hitting negative too many times. And once I got fed up of being fed up and broke, yeah, it's like a switch flip. And I started investing in myself, not only with my words, but like with my dollars. So like, there was a investment program for learning how to market that I wanted
Yeah.
to invest in. And it would supply me with the business mentor, but it was kind of pricey. And I made the leap, invested in it. Best investment I ever made, because once I
Nice.
did that, I think my mindset opened up to say, all right, now you're willing to make yourself better, and things just open up for you.
Yeah, you gotta, I mean, especially as an artist and as a creative, like,
Yeah.
everyone, the joke is always like, you have to be a little bit insane to like want to do these things.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
with insanity comes a ton of being risky all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of creative people and artists making stupid, risky decisions.
Yeah.
But anytime you do something like that, what you just said, like,
Mm-hmm.
the only risk is in the obvious money,
Yeah.
but the time and the knowledge gained will help you no matter what.
Yeah.
It'll help you get that money back and
Mm-hmm.
double it, triple it, whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. People with money realize that time is money.
Yeah.
People without money just think that money is the only form of currency, right?
Right.
So I don't know if that makes sense, but yeah, like once I realized time is money, I looked at it a lot different.
No, yeah, I feel that 100%. All right, man. Well, I guess that's it. Can you give some plugs? Where can we invest into your merch line? Where can we listen
Yeah.
to your music? Give us everything.
All right, man. So on the music side, you can Apple Music anywhere. Look me up. CJ King Music. Type in CJ King, you'll find it. If you want to support the movement, to help out and be a part of the change that's happening in the community, you can go to my website. It's called gipac.com, GIPAC.com. And then if you want to support the merch, hit the link in my bio. We got hella fire merch. Hook yourself up. We got a sale going on right now. T-shirts are $9.99. Hoodies are $24.99.
And now we are about to go live with Emcee Nice. I know 2020 specifically for you has got to be extremely disappointing for what was supposed to be happening or supposed to have happened. But before we get to any of that, like just the year in general with COVID, with the civil unrest, with just losing a lot of heroes, within the hip hop community and sports community. I mean, what's this year been like for you?
Yeah, it's been extremely like up and down, you know, because like you said, we was preparing for, something spectacular only for it to be pushed back, postponed. But then during the COVID situation and the timeout, we were able to expand upon it and make it even better for the forthcoming. So, and then, getting my businesses organized in the sense of, when I came into this thing, having to wear many hats. And
Yeah.
slow down, those many hats I was able to really go in and do singular focuses on and help them, and which is helping me thrive a little better. So for me, it's been up and down. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and I mean, I was going to ask later on, but you brought it up. So the elephant is Summerfest 2020. That's the
Right.
thing that was postponed. I don't even remember how many artists were on that, but that was a lot. And I know it was a lot of coordinating. And it was like every day I was talking to someone else, yo, you're going to be at Summerfest. I'm going to be performing there. And I'm like, oh, this is dope. So
Okay.
now that's pushed to 2021. But what you're saying is there's kind of something positive came out of it,
Yeah.
as much as could be.
Well, here's the unique thing about 2020 Summerfest, just to give people an idea of how I think. Coming into the culture of Christian hip hop, what I noticed was there's no real ecosystem for the culture. Like it's just, you have certain where people can go and get some
Yeah.
exposure, but there was no real money being made. And so when I came in, I had 1 records on the Billboard charts as a Christian hip hop artist, including a #1 gospel album. So when record companies was meeting with me, they were like, yo, we want to give you a super deal, but we can't do that because Christian hip hop don't have radio. Christian hip hop don't have venues outside of churches. So
Mm-hmm.
how do we justify giving you any type
Yeah.
of, you know what I mean? And so you fast forward to the festival, it was
Yeah.
about, okay, how do we create something that the artist can live on year after year? It's not a one-off. This is actually going to be happening every year, right? And so
Yeah.
the objective was to get some of the stars, most of the stars, and not only Christian hip hop, but Latin Christian hip hop and gospel
Yeah.
hip hop from there, right? And so we paid everybody. That's the cool thing. So
That's what I was hearing too. I was like,
yeah, so
and I was like, yo, tell me about this. And like, yo, we got paid. Like, this is legit. And I was like, and that's funny that's like the mentality. It's like, it's not legit until like, it's like, oh, like we're actually getting paid for this.
yeah, no, we
And it's like,
paid.
why do we have that mentality of like, yeah, this is ministry, or, we got to do this for free.
The reason we did that is because we wanted to know that we wanted every artist to know that they are important. You know what I mean? And
Absolutely.
that the work you put in is important, equally important. So what happened was now we have, because those same artists are still signed to the
Yeah.
agreement. We have 65 artists, 75 artists going forward to perform in 2020,
Wow.
right? So
Awesome.
yeah, we lost a couple of artists, but that's okay because they feel like the market value for them is going to be a little different. But ultimately, we have a big surprise that's going to where we have a major artist coming on board. So we're excited in regards to that.
Mm-hmm.
To push that over, push the festival. So the festival is going to happen in July of 2021. We're just trying to lock down dates, and it's going to happen, COVID or not. Either it's going to be like a dope virtual situation still at the stadium, or going to be people there. But we're still going forward, and we're going to add 2 other cities in 2022.
Hey, nice. Nice. That's amazing, man. Well, I didn't have this plan, but maybe let's open this up a little bit because I know there's certain issues we talk about on the show, but I think this is important for community too, especially the Christian community. Um, the fact that, money exchanging within the Christian community. A lot of people, it's kind of taboo or they don't really want to talk about it, or, do I get a donation? We'll pass the hat around at the end of the set.
Right.
Like, why do you think there's such, there's such a polarizing thing about making money within the Christian space?
Because you got to think of it for that, the label Christian,
Right.
puts you at odds in the sense of, well, because I'm doing it in the name of Christ, that I should be it, or you should be discounted. But at the end of the day, I look at it from the standpoint of, if you're making money off of it, then I should be making money off of it. You know what I'm saying? And that's just bottom line. Whether, if people are doing, I've done stuff where people didn't make no money off of it, and I just did it just to be doing it. My thing has always been, if you're making money, then so should that artist. If you're charging tickets and you're charging this and charging that, then that artist should get something automatically. It shouldn't be hey, we're gonna collect the donation at the end. No, at the end of the day, what is your value? I think some of the CHH artists overprice themselves based on streams and YouTubes, but we're looking at actual venue, like putting, do you attract those people when we show up at the venues? Is it more than 20 people show versus the million people you got that that downloaded, or not downloaded but streamed your music?
Yeah, I think that's important too, because a lot of artists would be like, oh man, I had 100,000 plays on my latest song. I'm ready to go on tour. Then they're in the middle of like Idaho or like Wyoming, and maybe it's like eight people at a youth group. And honestly, that might be the better show in the Midwest, in those places, because there's more churches and not a lot going on there. But you come to New York City and you might get like 4 people, or LA, or, wherever else, like a major city where you're in competition with so many different things that are going on.
Well, I had to battle with a couple of people just in debates in regards to, so we were booking for the festival. A lot of people was like, why I didn't get on, why they didn't contact me. Well, people have to keep in mind that we pay attention to what is your draw in Los Angeles. It ain't just being popular. Have you ever been to the city? Have you been on the radio in the city? And so some people are getting upset because we didn't bring them out, but we did the numbers. We did the numbers on everybody. We know who was actually got a little draw and who didn't have a draw, which is why we were able to include Latin Christian hip hop. People didn't even, like, some people don't even know who Alex Zerto is, right? But we know who is. Alex Zerto's pulling in 5,000 and 6,000 people. You know what I'm saying? Him alone. So people was questioning why we had him as a headliner. But at the end of the day, he was Latin Christian hip hop, and we brought it in.
Yeah, and just because you've never heard of somebody as an artist because he's not necessarily in your community, doesn't mean that other people don't, or doesn't mean that he's not successful.
Right.
Like you're charting on the Billboard, but you don't necessarily like rock with all of these other artists, and they might not know that about you. But like, you're making moves behind the scenes. You're throwing this festival together. You're doing Billboard stuff. You have success that they're trying to obtain, but they're like, oh, we don't know who Emcee Nice is, so like we don't mess with him. Yeah, and it's like, but you're the guy that they need to know.
It's funny. I face that all the time because I see all these lists that come out, and there's no mention of Emcee Nice in the list. And I'm like, yo, I have 5 #1 records, which means I sold some records, right? But at the end of the day, the list that comes out is like, yo, is it a popularity contest, or is it based on facts? So I had to, God had to really dig in me and be like, yo, don't get caught up in that. At the end of the day, you do what I asked you to do, and then
do it well.
Yeah, and so, which is why, like we mentioned, the festival, but we also got a radio station, right? Which is God's House of Hip Hop. It's the only hip hop station that's BDS We're the first Christian hip hop station that's BDS reporting, and we pay royalties. So it's funny, like when I reach out to certain artists, I'm like, why do we not get your records? We're paying you. You know, you know what I'm saying? So it's like
I'm telling you, people don't trust it. It's like, wait, you're paying me? Nah, this ain't of God.
right, right. So, but not only that is, you know, when we have a nice large following with that, and we were the first Christian hip hop station to win a Stellar Award, right? And so if people don't understand that in gospel, I know that there's a feud going on between gospel and Christian hip hop, but at the end of the day, you still need the politics of gospel to help move your records to the next phase. Because, you know, I know that a lot of these artists want to have they use a ministry, but they still want to be popular. They still want
Yeah,
to, you know, but you need politics for that. You know what I'm saying? And so if you don't understand the politics of music, you're not going to thrive in this game at all.
yeah. Yeah, and like you said, it's sort of in the politics where like these people need to see you. Like this happens to me all the time as somebody who posts people's music on Rapzilla. How come you never post me? I have no idea who you are. Like you've never made yourself known to me. Like obviously, if no one out there is talking about you, then and you're telling me that you're popping and everyone is talking about you, but I'm not seeing that, then just tell me. Send me an email. Hey, this is my new single. This is my music video. Hey, 100,000 people just watched my new music video.
Right.
Oh, all right. I'm sleeping on this person. I missed it. But oftentimes those people rather come out and say something negative or not say anything at all because they feel offended that one person who goes through like 600 emails a week didn't notice them. It's like, yo,
Right.
I got so many people. You got to see my Instagram DMs, my Twitter DMs, people hitting me up on my Facebook. I'm getting all these Rapzilla emails. I'm getting emails on my personal thing. It's like, there's plenty of ways to contact me and say, hey, what up? Like, this is what I'm doing. And if you're not doing any of those things, whether it be, you know, getting your music qualified for a Dove Award or a Stellar Award or getting on your radio station or whatever, like, just do it. Like, there doesn't need to be an ego involved.
I always say, like right now, if you're not voting, you can't talk, you can't complain, right?
Absolutely.
Can't make, whether what side you're on, it doesn't matter. If you're not voting, you can't say nothing. So in music, it's like if you're not participating, you can't say.
Yeah.
You're not a Dove Award member. You can be a member. It's only $100 a year, right? If you're not a
Hmm.
board member, you can be a member. It's only $100 a year. Then what are
Yeah.
you talking about, right? And so for me, at the end of the day, I use this thing. You're a businessman, and my man CJ King was on. He a businessman. Him
Yeah.
thing called SWOT, right? Strength, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. SWOT. So for me, I apply SWOT to everything I do, not just business. So if you're an artist and you want to get into the Christian hip hop space, what is the SWOT of the Christian hip hop space? Do you know the strengths, the weaknesses, the opportunities, and threats? Who are the
Hmm.
culture? Who are the people that are on the verge? You know what I mean? These are the things you need to know in order to be successful. You know, and so when I talk to artists, I always tell them at the end of the day, if your music is not registered and you're not doing the SWOT on everything it is you're doing, you're not going to be successful.
Yeah. I mean, it's the very least of what you can do. It's
Mm-hmm.
literally just paying attention and saying, what are the steps that I can do on my own? I don't need anyone else to do this. All I have to do is just do it myself. But I mean, people don't do that, especially now with all the time that everybody has. Like, if you're really that artist who's like out there on the road and about that life, you're not on the road right now. Like you should be taking some business courses. You should be doing a lot of stuff while you've been sitting around, not just making music.
Real facts.
And it's just, you know, it's a time. Obviously, there's a lot of craziness going on, but there was also a time where a lot of people had this extra time and opportunity to become successful or become better at something because they had nothing else going on. And anyone who really didn't take advantage of that is kind of just wasted. As much as you could say you wasted a pandemic, like you wasted time.
Right.
I don't know, man. It's crazy to me when people do the least of like what they could actually be doing. All right, so let's flip it out of that for a second. So obviously, you know, civil unrest, social justice, all that going on too. How has that affected you? And were you able to take part in anything as far as community dialogue, protesting, using your platform?
Yeah, I've been behind the scenes with everything, because at the end of
Yeah.
the day, being outwardly active and vocal could detriment some of the things that I'm doing for a lot of other people. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, I definitely got something to say. But
Yeah.
bottom line is, in saying that, you have to be careful about what you say and how you say it, because it could affect others. So for me, it's been when talking to anybody. If you if you're going to complain, then you should be at the polls. And I always tell them that local elections matter. You know, if you
Hmm.
stand your ground, or all these people like the commissioners, or the chiefs of police, these are all people voted in. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you want that representation, then you need to be at the polls, and you need to be convincing others to be at the poll with you. So I've been going, to different situations, and talking to people in that respect, and really talking about why it's important. Because if the vote didn't matter, it wouldn't be all this problem behind it right now.
Right. No, absolutely. Now let me ask you this: as someone, and maybe you have to be careful answering this. I'm not sure, but as someone who's been in the music industry for a while,
Hmm.
how have you seen, or have you seen a shift in the way that artists and people of color are treated, from a musician standpoint, by whether it be labels, radio, etc.?
Yeah, in music, it's always a popularity type vibe anyway. So it's like, if you got the hot song, then then the powers that be will gravitate, gravitate towards that. Me, I am a member of the Grammys. I'm also an advocate member of the Grammys, where I go speak to Congress,
Hmm.
congressional, on behalf of music, like in
Wow.
regard artists, not just Christian hip hop artists, but artists as a whole, getting
Yeah.
paid radio, getting paid royalties from all these other entities like a Spotify that are using records, but only paying. I think Spotify pays 0.0032 cents per play.
Yeah.
So
It's awful.
you know what I mean? So you can do 1 million streams and make like $2. You know what I mean? And so I had never been an advocate for Spotify. So people be like, well, your numbers aren't that good or whatever. But you can look at my record sales, and you can sell 100, you can sell 1,000, you can do 1 million streams on Spotify. I do 1,000 units and make more money than you would doing 1 million streams. So I
Yeah.
never proponent for that. Now Billboard has included Spotify numbers,
Right.
and so now I have to go a little harder in regards to the stream. So from a musician standpoint, yeah, has there been adversity with the coloring, colorism? You know what I mean? So yeah, it's
Yeah.
been. But at the end of the day, it takes people like myself. If you, I don't know if you know Bun B,
Yeah.
Paul.
Of course.
Bun B became vice president of the Texas Grammy chapter. As
Wow.
right? Paul Wall is a member at large for the Grammys. So the effect that the changes that happen in music happens in the political side, which is the Grammys and the Doves. And if you're in the hierarchy of that, that's how you change. In order, that's how you can make complete change. You know what I mean?
Right. No, I get it. And do you think a lot of what labels, or I guess maybe music publications or music entities or whatever, a lot of it, like the Black Lives Matter support and all that, like, do you think that's a lot of lip service? Or do you think it's more like, hey, we actually, we're a record label that cares about our artists?
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, record labels got to sell records.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And if they have artists that are passionate about BLM, they have to kind of be passionate about BLM, or they
Yeah.
lose, which means they lose the millions and millions of dollars that they're probably making on that artist. So I don't
Right.
know if it's service, or I don't know if it's at the end of the day something that they really believe in. But I do know that if you got outspoken artists,
Yeah.
you get behind that artist because you're making.
No, absolutely. And while kind of on that tip, I guess for record labels and the music industry as a whole, have you seen any drastic changes or shifts over this last 6 month period on how they do things. Obviously, with no shows, no whatever, I know everybody has to kind of be scrambling, or they were scrambling.
Here's the thing. My man CJ King was up before, and he talked
Yeah,
about, right? Christian hip hop doesn't know that music licensing for the culture is huge, and
yeah,
the industry knows it. That's why you're starting to see record deals from like people signing to major labels, because the publishing on the that's a whole nother thing. So the publishing on the licensing of music is now being warranted. So
yeah,
they're trying to get in on the publishing game, right? And so because advertisers want clean music, they want hip hop music that sounds like a Drake, that sounds like a
right.
six, but clean. And so we're the culture that's giving them the clean stuff, which is why you've seen the success of a Joey Vontez to a 1K feud to a Toby Nwigwe. You know what I'm saying? All these cats, Lecrae and Andy and Swoop, these guys are are there, and along with CJ, they are taking advantage of that because that exists. Now, if the culture understood just how wide open that is, they would do it. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, it takes people like me to say, "Yo, you want to get your music in movies? Go to every music licensing company on the planet and service your record." You know what I mean? And then you'll probably land something.
Yeah, as long as the music is good, and as long as it kind of resembles something else that's mainstream too, unfortunately, most of the time. But like, there's a certain sound that's in, and that's what's gonna play. No, yeah, 100%. And so many people, again, it's more legwork that you have to do, but if you do it, it's gonna be really good for you. It'll be worth the time. Like CJ, did that course, that business management course, whatever it was that he said, and it took his money, and it was a risk, but that risk paid off because of what he can now do with that information.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, facts.
Somebody says I'm too messy. You're not too messy. Figure it out. You you can do it.
Yeah.
So let me ask you one question I wanted to ask you about Summerfest. You canceled that thing real quick, and I was like, COVID came out, and there was like a week or two later, and nobody, you saw it better than me, but nobody expected it to kind of last as long as it did. And I was like, why wouldn't you at least try to like make it to June or something and then see where it is? Like you canceled that back in March, right? Or
Yeah.
or early April. Like it was right away.
Yeah, see, so from an industry standpoint, we looked at variables that was happening. So we
Yeah,
South by Southwest go, we
yeah,
seen Ultrafest go, and then we seen Coachella. Now these are the major money makers in
right.
the world of festival. So we're new. We put up $1 million. You know what I'm saying? So if we let it go, we risk losing that $1 million, $1 million plus. You know what I mean? But
Mhm.
at the end of the day, we looked at it from the standpoint, we got medical professionals that I talked to.
Yeah,
And when we heard about the virus, we went and sought our own information for medical professionals that say, yo, realistically, there won't be a vaccine for about a year.
of
Right.
course. And
And
that's
so
wishful thinking.
Right. And so our thing was like, yo, we getting ready to go. We were at the start of where we're getting ready to go full throttle with another marketing campaign that was going to cost us
Right.
real dollars. And we're going, okay, let's talk to the stadium and see if we can push this back a year, knowing that the vaccine won't come. So it's about getting consumer confidence back. We
Right.
know, is that the confidence going to be back, and then was going to take a minute for them to get in once the vaccine was done. And so once we understood the realness of what this was, we had no regrets and no qualms in making that decision. Sure, people jumped on us. They was like, "Yo, why y'all doing this? Oh, this is that." Now they look at us and go, "Yo, y'all was smart because we saved hundreds of thousands of dollars in marketing." You know what I mean? That would have really just been detrimental.
Yeah, and like you said, you're able to run it back. Because my greatest fear would have been And I was thinking about this for you at the time. I was like, yo, like, what if they cancel it? And then on June, like everything's gone and we could have had it and it still would have been amazing. But you guys already had it in motion. It's like, no, we just postponed it and we're going to run everything back and everything was okay.
Yeah.
And that's amazing that it worked out that way, that you kind of didn't lose anything and that you actually gained by doing it. So even if you could have done it, it still wouldn't have mattered because you're still going to bring it back.
Yeah, well, now we're gaining a major, major headliner. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is going to be unexpected. And so we're so excited for the culture that is incredible. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
That's why, like, even going forward, I'm very, very, very secure in saying that, hey, this is going to be probably one of the most memorable and historic festivals in the history of the culture, only because
Yeah.
we got all the artists signed. So we don't have to go and be like, oh, who we gonna sign? Who we gonna sign? You know,
Yeah.
everybody's there. You know, so the marketing is gonna be, very easy. And then when we announce another headliner, that's gonna be over.
Yeah. And that's a whole nother year to work on it too.
Yeah,
You just bought yourself another, well, not that you bought yourself, but you got yourself another year to perfect something that you already had, set up pretty well.
real fact.
So, I mean, it worked out.
People was questioning how we were doing it or whatever, but I understood. I'm a marketing guy, so I understand how to do unique marketing. And
Yeah.
the way we did it was because we were trying to maximize our dollars. And in this event, it's like the whole reason we chose LA, because everybody's like, why y'all didn't choose Atlanta? Why you didn't choose like Florida?
Yeah.
Or the whole reason we chose LA was because in trying to create an ecosystem for the culture, we had to go to the hardest city for the culture. And LA,
Yeah.
hardest city for the culture. So if we brought out 15, 20,000 people in Los Angeles, imagine what we bring out
You
in
do
LA.
this anywhere.
Right. You know what I'm saying? And so then what that does is get the advertisers to buy in and go, yo, let's give them more money, which in turns we give more money to the artists on the next round.
No, man, I feel that. I get it. I get it 100%. And I'm in New York. So
Oh,
I go to these, I'm from Staten Island, New York. But that's New York City, part of New York City. So I go to these shows out here and you see like these artists who, like we're saying, like they get major numbers and you see them like sell out shows in Texas or wherever it might be where there's large Christian communities.
uh-huh.
And then they come to Brooklyn or Manhattan and it's like, man, 25 people here, 50 people, whatever. And then for me, I'm like, yo, that was a good turnout. Like you did good with 60 people. Like that's some of the most I've ever seen at a show out here.
Right.
Um, so yeah, I get that about LA. That's dope. That's kind of like the intention was like, hey, we got to break through the hardest area.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
Uh-huh.
like what are your hopes and dreams for the future, just as a society, as for the music industry, just as a people in the United States, like where do you hope to see us go and move to after all of this?
Well, obviously, my goal is for people to move towards unity. You know,
Hmm.
let faith. If you wholeheartedly believe in all things God and all things Christ,
Yeah.
let faith be the guide. Really, really, really put yourself in the position to do God's work. And so for me,
Yeah.
about unity is one. I want us to be unified in music. I want to create that ecosystem because I believe that our brothers and sisters can eat. You know what I mean? And if I'm I don't want to be a part of the problem. I want to be a part of the solution. And
Dope.
anybody know that that has spoke with me, that has dealt with me. I haven't charged nobody for nothing. I have not one penny. I've given bucks. You know what I mean? And I continue to
Mhm.
pour with no remorse. If I lost, if the festival didn't go on and we lost that money, I lost that money. That's a big hit. But at the end of the day, I'm in a position to where, I'll be all right. You know what I mean? I did a few things that allows me to be all right. But at
Yeah.
the end of the day, it's about creating an ecosystem. And I've always say, my motto is for any great achievement, someone has to be the first to do it. So why not you?
Absolutely.
So at the end of the day,
Nice.
go out there and achieve things. And also, what I say? Uh, Lost my train of thought right there, but it was all about mistakes. There it is. I strive for perfection so that I limit my mistakes. We're not perfect people. We're always going to make mistakes, but if you're striving for perfection, you'll understand those mistakes, and you'll get you won't make the same ones again.
Awesome, man. That's a word. All right, come on. So Emcee Nice is in here dropping the knowledge of a shaman.
Yeah, but I'd also encourage people to support all things Christian hip hop that are that are making moves. So whether it be a Rapzilla, whether it be a Track Stars or the crew, at the end of the day,
Yep.
we only thrive together if we band together. I was talking to a major executive with a major record label, and that executive said the reason Christian hip hop hasn't thrived in the fashion that it could is because of unity in the culture. He said, you see Drake and Millie, they all got beef, but then in the name of the almighty dollar, they came together.
They drop a track.
right. And so at the end of the day, they unified, and look what's happening. So for us,
Yeah.
I would like to see more unity in the sense of whether it be collaborations between a Reach Records and Out Over Money, you know what I'm saying,
Yeah.
or or full collaboration of everybody, whether it be RMG, IMG, IMX. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, that's how we move on to the next
Yeah.
is unity within our own community.
Stronger together.
Yeah.
Stronger together, absolutely. And I'm seeing a lot of it lately. I think especially during this time, you're seeing a lot more collaboration, a lot more kind of thoughtfulness behind things that are going on. Summerfest would have been one of them too.
Yeah.
We did the Rapzilla shows at 83C last year, where we had a whole, we had I think it was about 30 to 40 artists.
I seen that. Like, at the end of the day, people should support that. Christians go to Beyonce concerts. Why can't they go? Why can't they go to a Rapzilla concert?
Yeah, and you shell out some big bucks for that Beyonce concert. Our concert was free if you were part of A3C. All you needed was the wristband.
Right.
And you could have saw like 30 artists in 2 days, 40 artists in 2 days. And I think it's also important, like artists' willingness to have to be able to give these things a shot too. So like we did that for the first time. So I get people's apprehension too, to kind of be like, I'm not sure. What success do they have? They've never done this. And I'm sure you were in the same exact boat. Like, how do you convince people, hey, this thing's going to be huge, fly all the way to LA, do this, we're going to pay you, I promise there's going to be all these people there. And it's like, I don't know, this has never happened before. But like you said, one person's got to start it, right? One person's got to kick it off. And once you kick it off, you just watch that snowball and you just keep going and going.
And that's the whole point, is we wanted to be so successful that others mimic. You know what I mean? Because if they mimic, that means my brothers and sisters are getting mad jobs, are getting mad bags.
Everyone's going to eat.
Right. It ain't about me. You know what I mean? It's about the culture. It's about, the kingdom. And so I've always been an advocate for that. And even with the festival, people was wondering. They was like, okay, so we're coming to LA. I was like, yeah, we're paying for that. This is outside of your fees. Like, we're going to pay you your bag, but at the same time, we're gonna pay you your fees. We're gonna pay the fees for everything. So your money's gonna be your money. You know what I'm saying? And they was trying to get past that thought, that they thought give them a bag and they have to cover their fees. We're like, no, we're gonna pay for your hotel, your flights, your food, and pay you.
And the crazy thing is, I think most artists would have done that anyway. They'd be like, oh, I'm still getting paid. I'll just supply the rest, because that might have been their experience already. Mm-hmm. All right, we'll take this one question from Mr. 100. Emcee Nice, what are ways we can invest in ourselves?
Well, investing in yourselves is doing the research on what you invest in.
We were just talking about that, like taking those small steps.
Yeah, so if you're putting out an album, because he said he spent bread on his music, but he's not getting no bread in return. Well, what items are you spending that money on? You know what I'm saying? That at the end of the day, if you're not doing the research on what can yield you money, then you wasting money. You know what I mean? You wasting time and you wasting effort. My man Chris Chicago, what's up, brother? I love that guy. Right. And
Hey,
so
Chris Chicago.
at the end of the day, that's what it's all about. What are you spending that money on so that you can yield that? And if you're not spending it on like a Rapzilla to where you can, get the opportunity to get on playlists that could yield money, you know what I'm saying? Or if you're not or even submitting up to records to us, it's free. And, what do you, I say at the end of the day, if you're not doing the research and marketing, the research in regards to what you're trying to do, you're not going to win. So all that money you're spending, if it's not yielding nothing, it's because you didn't do the research in regards to how you can get that return. And also register your music. A lot of
Yeah.
artists I'm finding don't register their music. And so 9 times out of 10, if it's played on the radio, it's not going to get no money because it's not registered, which means the system don't recognize it. So go to
Yeah.
Nielsen BDS, go to MediaBase, and register your records. Go to BMI or ASCAP or whatever publishing you're going to. Register those records. Also, lease beats, because one thing we're doing at the station, we're no longer taking lease beat records because we're starting to get 5, 6 records that got the same beat.
Same beat. That happens all the time. And sometimes the song is like, I wouldn't say like iconic, but it's a very well-known song. And then you get someone that has the same exact beat and samples and everything. You're just like, oh no, what is this?
Yeah, we have to stop doing that because our system, like when we put the ISRC codes in, was coming up with a different song.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so now we have the kibosh on that. I think at the end of the day, if you really want to win, you have to invest in yourself. You have to do smart investment. Understand what the entities that you're going to involve in, the platforms that you're going to involve in, and then make a real decision about it.
Yeah, absolutely. And to add on to what he said, we had a guy in here, Chris Chicago, host of a radio station. Myself, I receive all the submissions from Rapzilla. We don't charge anything to send us music to check it out. If we like it, it gets played. We post it. I don't take it. We don't take $1 for you to submit something. If it's dope and it follows our guidelines, you get posted. And then afterwards, I'll say, okay, cool. We posted you. If you're interested, here are some ways you can market your music. And you could say no. And you could submit 1,000 songs to us. And if they're all good, I will post them and you don't have to spend $1. And that's marketing for yourself. You just got to be able to do that legwork.
Don't do is the legwork. They feel like, I got a hot record, and that the record. I used to be vice president of a Head Start music group on Warner Brothers. Like I was a major, figure for that, right? And in order for us to break a song, it cost us $100,000, and that's just the break. That ain't like so all of these cats thinking they can just put out records and it's going to catch on. That's not how this works. You have to invest in your record. If you want to win, you have to invest in your record. If you don't, you can't complain because then you'll be like, well, I sent my record to Rapzilla. Rapzilla posted you. At the end of the day, they have ad rates. You know what I mean? If you want to advertise and go further, then you pay that. Same with any other entity.
Yeah.
I'll just give them an example. Double XL. You want to get on the cover of Double XL? That's $150,000. You want to get on the cover of Rolling Stone? $250,000. So at the end of the day, it costs. You know what I mean? So the Christian hip hop market is cheap, in comparison to the secular market. But the bottom line is, if you want to win, you have to invest in yourself.
All right. I think that's a good. I see 2.0 saying tell them about Tupac, but we got to save that for another conversation. That's not for this program, man. But man, I appreciate the words. Appreciate you dropping knowledge.
Appreciate you.
Yeah, man. Thank you so much. I can't wait to see everything that you got going on. Please keep us in the loop for sure. And man, real quick, plug away. Where can people find you, listen to your music, check out what you're doing?
I'm Emcee Nice. That's EMCEENICELA on Instagram, Twitter. Emcee Nice Music on Facebook. Emcee Nice simply means MC lyricist. Nice, NICE. My peers call me novelist, so it means novelist is constantly evolving. So every day is an evolution for me. What does it say? What does that say right there? Oh, yeah, I was going to do that. That's funny. Publicist. So, I have a publicist on deck all the time, right? So at the end of the day, for me, I got an album that I'm working on right now called Iron Dove, trilogy. And so Act 1, Act 2, and Act 3. Act 1 will come out in October. Act 2 is called The Blessed Coast, because I'm on the West, so it's the Blessed Coast, right? And then Act 2 is called 1919, is based on Revelation 1919. So
Nice.
go check that out. And then Act 3 is called Kumbaya, right? And so it's gonna be a movie with that. So I know you've seen Beyonce put out Black is King. I'm putting out Iron Dove on behalf of the culture, and it's going to be.
Hey,
And I got
all right, man.
on the first album that you people unexpected, and then the second album I'm going in on the culture to really pull in highlight the culture itself, because I have this national spotlight on me.
All right, everybody. That was Emcee Nice. Is Justin. This was Community During Chaos. We had CJ King, Emcee Nice, and YP, aka Young Paul, who blessed us with some knowledge today. I will talk to you all later. Be safe and God bless. Peace.